That said, welcome to what is actually, I believe, day 8 of this live stream to my dream, Reclaiming Power with Rachelle, divinely downloaded and guided entire plan of 11 weeks of going live, of countless topics and subjects and facets and areas of our lives and our journeys wherein we can look for, find, and reclaim our power. That's what I'm about. Looking for, finding, and reclaiming our power. That is what Empowerment Experience is about. That is why Healing Twin Flames exists, because it's about reclaiming power and breaking out of that twin flame trap of ego attachment. But only when you're willing to allow yourself to see that, can you see that. Denial is the ego's best friend. And unfortunately, we can stay in denial, kind of like an alcoholic, right? An alcoholic doesn't want to see or admit that they have a problem until that problem literally consumes them in the same way they've been consuming the alcohol. And that's how this works. That said, back to the point of being here today. Again, looking for finding and reclaiming our power. Today we're going to talk about empowerment tools. Yesterday we were talking about empowerment itself and what that means, what it looks like, and where your power is in said empowerment. All right, so today, to again tie into that, we're going to talk about the tools of empowerment that we use in order to, well, further expand the harnessing of our individual power, as well as the focusing and creating for ourselves what we want to be creating, utilizing what tools we can, whether they're actual physical tools that we have in our hands, or they are energetic tools such as journaling, meditation practices. There are all kinds of tools that we can use to be reclaiming our power on this journey. And it's up to each and every one of us to be open for allowing such tools to come to us, and in turn to put them into practice, to say, okay, let's see how this works. Let me use this to allow me to better have more power within myself, to have more control, more ability to harness my power, more ability to focus my power, more ability to harness the power of clarity. Because a lot of tools assist us with, well, finding clarity on our journey, because without clarity, you're not clear. You're not clear on where you're going, what you're creating, who you are, where your power is. And that's ultimately what we're doing around here, is looking for where our power is, finding it, and reclaiming that, so that we can move forward, move past any of these stuck places where we are, or any disempowering spaces and places where we find ourselves, because we've given power away. So we got to take it back, integrate that back into ourselves by stepping into that and moving forward and taking that action. So when it comes to empowerment tools, those who have been around for a while, y'all know one of my favorite empowerment tools, using cards. Tarot, oracle, cards, all the different cards. Because you know, when we're up here in our heads, there's so many directions you can go. There's so much chaos, so many temptations and distractions that the ego throws our way to trip us up, to throw us off course, meaning kind of detoured away from what it is we actually want to be experiencing for ourselves. And this is a lot of like humanity as a whole, right? We've been so greatly detoured and distracted by what's really going on and where our power really is, that people think their power is, for instance, in a corrupt political system, that the whole thing is against us, and only those who are willing to open their eyes can see this. and realize that, wait a minute, every time we participate in that, we give our power away to that. And again, we are here, light workers, starseeds, those of us who are amplifying the true light in this world, really see the agendas at play, right? Really see the acquiescence of our power to external forces. And that's why I know I'm in this world, because again, I've walked through the valley of the shadow of death, as I say it, as a former pimped out, drug addicted prostitute. Woo! The things that I've lived through, and I shouldn't be sitting here today. Let's just say that. Especially doing what I get to do now and support all y'all in your empowerment journeys. I get to do this now because I've been doing this in my life for 15 years now, and I've been a coach for 5 as empowerment experiences. So, with that, again, crazy wild times we're in, which is all the more reason to make sure that you have tools in your toolbox for you to turn to go into this toolbox with, because guess what? It's only going to get crazier, guys. It's only going to get crazier as the old world crumbles so the new can be built. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay? Not for any fear mongering, not at all, not my thing. It's not what I'm about. It's about awareness, because awareness is power. But then it's, again, awareness is itself the power that allows you then the power to look in something and say, ooh, is my power there actually? No. So again, by having a toolbox of actual tools, practices, whatever you need that works for you to ground you, to calm your inner chaos, to soothe your worries, your doubts, your fears. These are your empowerment tools. These are the tools that you need to have for yourself, because that's a massive act of self-love empowerment there. By saying, ooh, because I know when I am in a state of, well, we've talked about stress and overwhelm, right? That's a good one. You got to go back and see that video talking about stress and overwhelm and what it's defined as, and OMG, okay? When you're in a state of stress and overwhelm, you're probably not most likely going to be fully tapped in and tuned in and aware of, like, wait a minute, oh, okay, I need to just get out of this, because you've already fallen into that hole. You've already fallen into the hole so much that you're really truly not in your right mind. So you're not quite so quick to pivot to a solution that is empowering for you, because you're in such a state of disempowerment. So when you have a toolkit that you can actually go to and say, okay, let me get out this list of things that I know are going to, okay, what do I need right now? This I can do. Let me go and meditate to this specific meditation. Let me go and pull me a quick card so that I can focus on that. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is you have to pivot your attention. You have to pivot what you are focusing your energy on, because if it's something that's sucking your energy, which, oh my gosh, like here we go again with the exact same playbook this year that it was 4 years ago, and only those who see patterns see this right now. Only those who recognize patterns are able to be seeing the patterns on the world stage, especially the national stage here. It's just absolutely just insanity that we're living in. It's just we live in the insane asylum of the universe. Absolutely, for sure, without question. Absolutely. And the crazy, crazy ones have gotten loose. That said, though, again, having specific tools, because here's the thing, too. Not every tool that works for this person is going to work for you. and vice versa. Tools that work for these people may not work so well for you. So you, in your state of self-love empowerment, have to be the one to dive into these things and give them a try. Give them an opportunity for you to learn, yes, this fills my cup. No, that doesn't fill my cup. It is up to you, and always, because the power is in your hands, it is up to you to create a toolbox that allows you to have a place you can go to and say, I am in a state of disarray and I need to find my power right now. So go to your empowerment toolkit, your toolbox, and you go through that again. Cards. I love my favorite essential oil is this cedarwood. And it's specifically, yes, it is a doTERRA. I don't build a business like it. I'm a consumer. I do have my own account, but this I have used for years. This specific, because I'm a farm kid from the sticks of Kansas. And this, I grew up basically hiding in my closet, my cedarwood lined closet. So for me, this is one of the most important tools in my toolkit. When I first got introduced to this oil like 10 years ago, there's not any other that smells like this one, because they all have a different kind of, depending on where they're sourced. This one takes me back to that safe place in my walk-in closet when I was little. I was safe there. And now I get to have that, what I call the warm blanket out of a dryer feeling, right here in my hands. And I cannot begin to tell you how many times this has been exactly what I needed. But then there are times when I'm so worked up, it doesn't do it totally. Like, it'll take a little bit off, but then I gotta go in and I need to do like a brain dump, right? You gotta do a mind dump wherein you have a journal. Like, I recommend, and we're gonna talk about journaling in a separate video to come here, I think, in fact, next week actually. But I recommend that you have some cheapy dollar store composition books. Like, this one's not, I don't consider this one of my cheapy ones. It's my college rule, because you can only get like wide rule at the dollar store. I digress though. But you want to have like just some cheapy journals that I call the dump journals. Like, those are the ones where that part of you is flustered and frustrated and just saying so many negative things, and you need to get that frustration out of your mind. Those words, those beliefs, plus by dumping it out on the paper, you achieve multiple things. Number one, you remove it out of your mind, so it's no longer up there bouncing around. Number two, you are then, as a result of taking it out of your mind, you're then able to look at it. You're able to see it in black and white, purple and white, whatever color you decide to journal in, because I definitely do. I do multiple colors in my journals. I color coordinate my journals. And those are two of the biggest things that you achieve when you utilize a journal as a tool in that way, to get these things out of your mind so they're not left to just keep bouncing around, right? So that may be what you need. And I'm probably more inclined to believe that it's definitely something you're going to need many times on your journey. And then why do I say to have a dump journal? So that then in your actual journal, where you're visualizing your goals and you're writing out your commitments. These were my commitments for day one of this whole live stream to my dream. And then when you're doing gratitude pages, like, I purposely wanted to write it all kind of cutesy because my green, And you can then have this is all your good vibes, and then that other journal is all your bad vibes, Do that for yourself. There's no rules here. No rules. Do what you do, you boo. That's what I recommend. All right. So one of my favorite tools, which again I've already mentioned, we're going to definitely do here, because I know we need some surrender here, don't we? Definitely surrender. So Oracle cards and Tarot cards. My first deck was an Angel Tarot deck by Doreen Virtue, which is actually over there on the table. And it was one of those experiences where I had never held a deck before in my life. And I had been raised in, well, what I consider a satanic religion at this point, in a Catholic upbringing. Gratefully out of that. And so I was taught that all of these intuitive tools were evil, that you couldn't possibly know. You got to go talk to the priest because he's the only one with a direct connection to God. Yet another way to talk you into giving away your power, placing it outside of yourself. All right? That's why, like I've said, I've been reclaiming my power actually more than 15 years in my whole life, right? Because I was raised in that religion. And I was taught that I was unworthy. I was never, I was a sinner and I was horrible and all these unpleasant things, right? That, again, just made me feel more and more worthless about myself. Then I woke up to the truth and realized that, oh my God, the power is in me. It's in me, not in someone outside of me. My power is in me. Just like your power is in you. And nobody can take that away from you unless you let them. And that is the most challenging part, I feel, of this self-love empowerment journey, is when you have to face yourself and recognize that you played a role, a massive role, in your own disempowerment by letting others have power over you. All right? Believe me, like I said, that old drug dealer pimp of mine, it's incredible that even that experience from some of the other experiences that I've had that are completely like black and white in that regard still hold that same energy of acquiescence of power. But that's the point, again, of this self-love empowerment journey, is that in all ways, in all facets, we have to look for, find, and reclaim our power. And I was just talking about this morning with my bestie, and it was just realizing that we may have these core beliefs down here from our very, very young ages, like 0 to 5. Your core beliefs are in place. Did you know that? This is true. It's actually true. 0 to 5, your core beliefs are in place. And then the rest of your life, unless you awaken to that and become conscious of what your beliefs are, what your sabotages, what your actions, what you're creating, what you're intentionally creating or unintentionally creating, then you realize, wait a minute, I have this power here. I have this. I'm doing this. I'm the one. I'm me. Like we've said before, Shaggy lied. It was me. It was me. Yeah. But once you become conscious that you are the root of the results in your life, then you realize that I need to get to the root of me in order to shift and change my life. And like I said, that's why we end up turning to certain tools and practices, which again, practices are tools. Meditation practice, forgiveness practice, my CSP practice, which is the calm, serene, peaceful practice that I call. These are all tools. So first and foremost, Goddess, your assignment for today for empowerment tools is I encourage you to go into your good journal. Make a list of empowerment tools, things that you can go to. In fact, I call this list the Good Vibe Givers list. So write that at the top, Good Vibe Givers. That these are the things that bring forth positive energy from within you, as well as attracting it outside of you. Like again, this cedar wood already, I'm like, oh, I already just feel the shift that this does do for me. And if you're interested in that, obviously I can look that up. But like I said, it's just an example because it's one of my. I literally have 3 bottles open at any given time. One here in my creative space or my office. I don't like calling it my office, but in my Zen den. That's what I call this. This is my Zen den. This is where it's the den of Zen right here. And I have one literally on the other side of the wall where my bedroom is, where I sleep. So literally right on the other side of the wall, I have another bottle open. And then I have one that's in my purse. Because again, I know this is one of the most powerful tools for me. I've known others who they have other essential oils that they use, right? There are so many tools out there that there is no excuse, no reason except for your sabotage to not have a variety of tools in your toolbox. So the very first most important tool would be the actual box itself, which again, I call the good vibe givers list. It is this list that you create of all things that fill your cup, that calm your nerves, that ground you, that builds you up, that reassures you, that gives you good vibes, baby. So make that list. Good vibe givers. My empowerment tools list. That's what you're gonna make. Okay? So with that, we're going to play, and we're gonna probably, because we may do 2 cards, because yay, I do have time. We're going to, let me check really quick. Oh, really quick, obviously another tool, I want to point this out, because we're going to be talking about this in about a week, I think. Stones and crystals. I mean, hello. I'm purposely not flipping you off, but understand this is my wonderful malachite stone malachite is one of my personal stones. It's like one of my soul stones is malachite. It was one of my very first crystals I ever bought. And I will show that when we dive more into crystals and stones, because there's a wonderful story about that. Oh, speaking of story, so I was going to really quick share about my first story about having cards. Now, these are the Power of Surrender, an oracle deck, still an oracle deck. My first deck, which was, again, that Angel Tarot deck, I went to a group event, and they were being passed around the room, and I didn't know anything about cards. Like, I'm pretty protective of people putting their energies on my cards, so I tend to not be that kind of person to just let complete strangers play with my cards. But this event, it was not that case. The cards, I was the first person to get the deck. The deck passed to me, and I froze. I had never touched a deck of cards before. Not an oracle deck, not a tarot deck. And as I was saying, with regards to religion, I had been brainwashed to believe they were evil, and that my own intuitive ability made me evil. I was exhibiting psychic gifts by the time I was 11. I was guessing what time, and some random time that my dad was going to be home, or else we had to be done with this or we'd be in trouble or whatever, because I was the oldest of I have 2 brothers and a baby sister. And I was spot on when he pulled in the driveway. I looked at the clock and I went, oh, because it was like some odd number, like 8:13, Dad's going to be home. So we better get done and clean this up, whatever it was, because we were country kids, you know. Sure enough, Dad came driving up that driveway at 8:13. But I had been taught that that was evil. So I'm sitting there with this deck of cards on my book, because it was a little book group that I'd gone to for empaths. It's many years ago now. And I just sat there with the deck on my lap, kind of on its side, and I was, running my hands along it like this, with the back of the cards facing me, and I was so nervous, like, what am I supposed to do? Overthinking the whole thing. Luckily, my higher self, universe, had my back. Half the deck falls on the floor in front of my feet. One card was facing up. And that was the card that changed everything in my life that year. And ultimately, 4 months later, led to the creation, the divinely guided download of empowerment experiences. So this is why, again, these tools, it's exactly what they are. They will help you find clarity, all right? They will, if you allow them, okay? Any of these cards, you just listen to your inner intuition, what cards speak to you. If you are not a card person, but you are interested in having cards done, I am definitely here for you. We can do that on a video session. I can also do an emailed reading for you, an email report. So you can definitely check those out at my website, empowermentexperiences.com/shop. That's where I'd go to first. Just go straight there. All right. So with that, let us see, right now where our surrender, our power of surrender is, which this one landed on my lap face up. And how perfect right now. Surrender to inner peace. You see, this is what's so wild about the activists of this world, is that they think that by creating more destruction and violence that they're going to create peace. They think that by burning flags and defacing and destroying things are going to bring about peace. I'm just pointing this out. I'm curious to know how does that equate? Because clearly there is not inner peace. And it's very, very challenging right now in the current climate of the world, especially this country, to truly be cultivating inner peace, isn't it? Except for those of us who utilize such tools as meditation, journaling, essential oils, coaching, cards, whatever tools we can find and utilize to help bring us back into ourselves so that we can be the peace that we need amidst all of the chaos. Because again, as I said at the beginning of this video, the crumbling, you ain't seen nothing yet, sister. You ain't seen nothing yet. And I look at what my life was before, and I'm like, really? Really? That was my boot camp for what's coming? I don't want to do what's coming. I don't want to do it. But alas, we are here. And we are here to do it. We are here to be the change. You have to be that which you desire to have and experience in this world. So, add to your list of good vibe givers. Make a little, well, of course, that's it's actually, the peace sign isn't actually a peace sign. It's an inverted, it's not a good thing. Put you a little do-hick-a-ma-jig, we'll call it, beside those that actually bring peace within you, right? Like for me, definitely, if I'm sitting there calm, sitting in a space where I'm not talking and having to do all this, my cedarwood definitely can be something for me that I can close my eyes, and I'm able to transport myself to my forest of trees. Go back to my low water crossing that I grew up by when I was little. I hardly spent any time at my parents' house, I call it, because it wasn't my house, it was my parents' house. I spent as much of my waking hours down our dead-end road where my parents had bought the land and built the house. And I would sit down there in the trees by the creek. And I can go there anytime. And this is why so many of my reading videos have the background noises of crickets in the forest and the creek. because that is my peaceful place. That's why I have my fun little poem of come with me into the forest for more than the trees. Let's discover and embrace all this intuition sees. Together we shall come to know that which we need to reclaim our power on this divine journey indeed. Because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So, surrender to inner peace, be cultivating that. Which in order to do that, and again, this is what this comes down to, is surrender your fear of change. Surrender your fear of change. If you refuse to see another perspective, if you refuse to look at something in another way, because that's what it is to see another perspective, is to view something in another way that maybe you hadn't considered, then that signifies that you have an immense fear of change. You don't want anything to change. But unfortunately, there are only two guarantees in this world, and that is change and that which we call death. That's it. Fear outside of what it's truly created to be for humanity, which is our protection mechanism for such a time as long ago, to ensure that we don't, go out into some wild place. Like right now, we've gotten so far removed from common sense. It's pretty wild to watch. But initially, fear was supposed to be that which protected us and kept us away from such dangers as, I don't know, woolly mammoths, wild things, right? But it was never supposed to be that which stopped us from achieving our goals and our dreams and building for ourselves the life that we want. It was never supposed to be like that. To not be willing to make the changes in yourself or in your life to create that outcome or that result, because it's unfamiliar. And that's what ultimately a fear of change is about. Is the ego is so attached to that which is familiar that it refuses to allow for that which is unfamiliar, because it views anything and everything that is unfamiliar as a threat. But if you've never experienced what you want to be experiencing, if you don't have what you want to have, you have to go where you've never been to get it. You have to experience the unfamiliar, because ultimately what you desire is unfamiliar. But if you're afraid of the change that it requires to get there and have that, then you won't have that. Right? So, I want to read this card. I'm feeling led to read the words on this card for you. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always. Whether you're afraid of a change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or life, or this country, or this world, or if you fear aging or death, repeat the affirmation, I have faith that all is well. And we're going to say this together. Let's say it again. Let's say it. The power of 3. There's a reason why right now. The power of 3 right now. After the reading, which you got to check out the Divine Feminine Energy Check-In on my YouTube. It's up there right now. Success is aligned. Be sure of that. But the power of 3. It's absolutely amazing how that video turned out. So we're going to say this together 3 times. And it's, I have faith that all is well. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I have faith that all is well. I have faith that all is well. I have faith that all is well. That is an empowerment tool in and of itself too. Affirmations. Affirmations are incredible empowerment tools because they help you to pivot your focus and reprogram your mind to think and believe what you want it to think and believe, rather than repeating all the detrimental things that are keeping you from what you want to be experiencing, or believing that things are well. I mean, usually my intention was always to be less than 30 minutes on this, but it's all right. This is where we are today. I know right now how challenging it is to pivot and focus on the positive. I know. It's somewhat excruciating, isn't it? It's quite the challenge. But that's what's strengthening our focus muscle. That's what ultimately, in all ways, is helping us to grow stronger on this journey and reclaim more and more of our power. So with that, I mean, I am having fun. Let's do this, because I wanted to do both decks, and so we're going to do both decks. Crystal, Mandala, Activation. We're going to do this one too. This one's another affirmation. While we're talking affirmation tools, we're doubling up. We're doing affirmations and oracle cards here. You know, again, and we're having fun. Who's having fun? You know what? In fact, oh, well, okay then. That just flew across my little love seat here, and it's one card. And it is, Goddess Bastet and Cat's Eye. It's a cat's eye. Sacred pleasure. Well, I would say pleasure would definitely be an empowerment tool. Because if you're in a state of pain, what are you needing? Some pleasure. Pleasure in life, and whatever that looks like. Like, obviously, we're not just talking, pleasure, but we're talking pleasure with, I always think of, like, my favorite place over here is called Frost. It's Frost Gelato. They literally import the ingredients from Italy. It's the best. I can't eat any other ice cream or anything. It's got to be Frost. It's the best stuff. But that is like, an orgasm in my mouth kind of thing. So that's what I mean. What are ways that you can experience pleasure with any of your senses? Add those to your empowerment tools list, to your good vibe givers list. I promise you're going to be glad you did. Okay? Maybe for some of us ladies, it's that special little phone number we can call and be like, hey, you busy right now, baby? So with that, this card reads, I melt into sacred pleasure, taking delight in the sweetness of life and the sensuality of embodiment. I am a divine soul grounded in the temple of enlightenment that is my body. My joy is an offering of gratitude to the universe, which attracts greater blessings that I can share freely with the world, triggering a collective awakening into grace. I invite the divine to sweeten my life for the greater good of all beings. Because you know what, Goddess? When you make sure your cup is full, when you make sure that you are self-regulating, you are self-healing, you are taking full self-responsibility and stepping into your own self-empowerment, you show the way for others to do that too. When you heal, the collective heals. That's how it works. Again, you have to create it inside first in order for it to be mirrored on your outside. And that's the thing, like with this whole twin flame dynamic, which we're going to talk about that next week too. And how it's so touted, because I fell into it. That's why Healing Twin Flames exists, and I never knew it would come all the way around to this, full circle. Is that all of these things that are perpetuated as being solely within the twin flame connection, it's like Detector said, that's a lie. Because it's all applicable. The entire world is your mirror. You just, again, the beauty of denial. Thus, the twin flame attachment, the ego attachment of the twin flame trap. Again, ego, denial, doesn't want to see the reality and take responsibility for what the ego itself is creating, the pain that it's perpetuating. That's why, again, you have to be the bigger person, your higher self, and say, oh my gosh, I am in a state of pain and disempowerment. Let me go to my empowerment toolkit, my empowerment list, and let me put into practice the things that are going to shift me out of this state of pain and into a much more available state for pleasure of this journey. With that, that's it. Empowerment tools today. Super excited for all of you for joining in, and I appreciate all of you for catching the replay on YouTube as well, because this will get uploaded there. For those who are looking for a solution, an answer to get from feeling trapped and disempowered and in a state of feeling like this world is just, I know that feeling. But I also know what it's like to look for and find your power within it. And that's what I'm here to help you do too, is to look for, find, and reclaim your power on this journey so that you can truly be rising and thriving. All right? You can book a session with me at IamEmpowered.as.me, or again, you can also go and get an emailed intuitive report at my website at empowermentexperiences.com/shop. Go check it out. Other than that, I am here to remind all of you, as I do, that the power, it is in your hands. The power to gather all these tools, all these practices, all these resources, all you need to make it through today, tomorrow, and what's to come. I promise you, that power is in your hands. Because that power has always, always been inside you. Namaste.